and welcome back to Fixing the Fog. Hi, I'm Mia.
And I'm Sydney.
This week we're focusing on self-confidence, but specifically on how misinformation affects the way that people see themselves.
Yeah, because a lot of misinformation isn't just about facts being wrong. It's about how those false messages slowly shape confidence, self image, and self worth.
Exactly. When people hear misinformation, they usually think of fake news or health myths. But a lot of it shows up in more subtle ways, like filtered images, unrealistic fitness claims, or food rules that make people feel like they're failing.
And those messages don't just stay online, they impact how people think about their bodies, their abilities, and whether they trust themselves.
So today we're talking about self-confidence, what it actually means, how misinformation weakens it, and how to protect it in a digital space that constantly pushes comparison.
I think it's important to start by clearing something up. Self confidence isn't thinking you're perfect or being better than anyone else.
Right. It's really about knowing your own capabilities and believing in them, even while knowing you still have room to grow.
Confidence is realistic. It's understanding strengths and limitations without letting either define your worth.
And misinformation often replaces that realistic view with extremes. Either you're doing everything wrong, or you're supposed to be doing everything perfectly.
This then creates a constant state of inadequacy. People stop trusting their own judgment because they're always comparing themselves to what they see online.
One of the biggest threats to self confidence is comparison culture, especially on social media.
People aren't comparing themselves to reality, they're comparing themselves to highlights.
And those highlights usually leave out context struggles, editing, filters, support systems, or even just time,
Comparison culture makes it feel like everyone else is ahead, doing better, or succeeding faster.
which isn't true. Repetition makes it feel true.
And misinformation feeds that by presenting unrealistic standards as normal or expected.
When people constantly measure themselves against false benchmarks, confidence drops. Not because they're failing, but because the standard was never real to begin with.
Filtered images play a huge role in fake body standards.
Filters don't just enhance photos anymore. They change facial structure, body proportions, and skin texture,
And when those images become the norm, people start seeing real bodies as the problem.
which creates this cycle of self-doubt. People think something is wrong with them when they're really just comparing themselves to edited content.
The issue isn't wanting to look good. The issue is when edited images are presented as reality.
That's misinformation. It's visual misinformation, and it impacts self-confidence by making people feel like they don't measure up, even when the standard isn't attainable.
Protecting self confidence means recognizing that images online are curated, edited, and selected. Fitness misinformation also hits confidence really hard.
Especially when workouts promise results in days or weeks.
Those claims ignore genetics, experience, rest, nutrition, and mental health.
When someone follows a viral routine and doesn't get the same results, they blame themselves.
Not the misinformation.
That's where confidence gets damaged. People start thinking they're lazy or incapable when the advice was just unrealistic.
Real fitness progress looks different for everyone, and it's rarely linear.
Confidence grows when people focus on their own progress instead of just comparing outcomes.
Food myths are another huge confidence issue.
Especially labeling foods as good or bad.
That creates guilt and fear around eating.
And when people feel like they're constantly making the wrong choice, they stop trusting themselves.
Food misinformation often ignores balance and personalization.
Confidence with food means trusting hunger cues and understanding that health isn't about perfection.
When misinformation tells people there's only one right way to eat, it takes away autonomy.
So, how do people protect their self image in all of this?
The first step is awareness, knowing that a lot of what you see is curated or exaggerated.
And setting boundaries with content that triggers comparison or stress.
Protecting self image doesn't mean avoiding social media completely, it means being intentional.
It also means questioning messages that tie worth to appearance, productivity, or success.
Confidence grows when people focus on values and abilities instead of external validation.
Believing in your own capabilities is a huge part of self confidence.
And misinformation can really undermine that by promoting instant success stories.
When effort and growth are erased, people feel behind. Real confidence comes from recognizing progress, even when it's slow.
And trusting your own reasoning instead of constantly deferring to trends.
Confidence doesn't mean never questioning yourself. It means not letting misinformation decide your worth. Self confidence isn't about ignoring feedback or pretending that challenges don't exist.
It's about protecting your self image from false standards and unrealistic expectations.
Misinformation thrives when people doubt themselves, and confidence grows when people pause, question, and trust their own thinking.
This week's takeaway is simple. Not everything online deserves space in your head. Protecting your confidence is a form of self care.
That's it for today's episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in again this week. And as always, stay
Stay
curious,
curious,
stay
stay
aware,
aware,
and
and
keep
keep
clearing
clearing
the
the
clouds
clouds
with
with
clarity.
clarity.